Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I have to say, it used to be that to see theater, you had to go to the Kennedy Center. Now, apparently, you need only go to the Senate Judiciary Committee and see our Senate Democrats berating the director of the FBI, which, okay, it's not, partisan politics is not new in the United States Congress. But what is remarkable is what Senator Booker was berating Director Patel about. He wasn't berating him for failing to do his job, but rather he was furious for Director Patel for successfully doing his job. For 4 years, the Democrats under Joe Biden had an open border that undermined the safety of every single American. They allowed 12 million illegal aliens to come into this country to invade this country, and every single day Americans were murdered, women were raped, children were assaulted by violent criminals that Democrats released. Now, Director Patel, I found Senator Booker's questioning really bizarre. He asked you, have you reassigned FBI agents from human trafficking to immigration issues? Director Patel, are the Mexican cartels that are bringing people illegally into this country engaged in human trafficking?
Yes, sir.
What the hell does it mean to reassign someone from human trafficking to immigration? The greatest human trafficking in the world has been over the last 4 years at our southern border. It is modern-day slavery that the Democrats still defend. They still defend those open borders. Mr. Patel, he also said, did you reassign FBI agents from protecting children to immigration? How many children have you found that were victimized by the open borders of the previous administration?
Welcome back to American Stronghold, the voice for patriotic Americans who are fed up with the corruption, the cover-ups, and the lack of accountability in Washington. Before we dive into today's video, I want to urge you to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our breakdowns of the issues that really matter. The mainstream media won't cover this the way it deserves to be covered, but here we tell the truth without apology. Now, let's talk about this explosive exchange where Senator Ted Cruz presses Kash Patel for details about the assassination probe involving Charlie Kirk. This is not some random questioning. This is a sitting senator demanding answers from the FBI about one of the most dangerous and disgraceful situations to unfold in recent memory. Think about this for a moment. A prominent conservative figure like Charlie Kirk is the subject of an assassination attempt, and yet the details are murky, the investigations are slow, and the American people are left in the dark. That should terrify every single one of us, because if the system can't protect outspoken conservatives, then who exactly is safe? Ted Cruz, love him or hate him, is doing exactly what we need from our representatives. He is refusing to let the FBI sweep this under the rug. What we saw in this video was a clear attempt to expose whether the Bureau is hiding critical information from the public. Kash Patel, who has been in the spotlight as a Trump ally and someone who knows how the intelligence community operates, is being pressed hard to give details. And notice his answers. Notice the hesitations. Notice how carefully worded everything is. That's not confidence, that's calculated speech.
4,700.
4,700, and yet oddly, I don't hear a Democrat here saying, gosh, thanks for protecting those kids.
35% increase year to date last year.
All right, I want to shift topics. And I want to shift topics to what happened last week. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was assassinated because of his political views. We're living in a time of enormous division and tragically hatred, and hatred that manifested in evil that we saw last week. Now, the FBI, working in concert with state and local law enforcement, apprehended what appears to be, in all likelihood, the murderer. And you did so in just 33 hours. So I want to start by just congratulating you and the FBI agents and state and local law enforcement for successfully apprehending the murderer in less than a day and a half. In the wake of that assassination, we have seen far too many people on the left celebrating the assassination. We've seen Democrats, we've seen activists cheering it on. We've seen, tragically, teachers in high schools, teachers in elementary schools, university professors cheering on the murder of Charlie Kirk. You and I both knew Charlie well. He was a good friend. He was an extraordinary man. And I will say there's a great deal of discussion about what to do about it. Under our Constitution, under the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, speech is protected. And that's true even for vile speech. Someone can stand up and say the most hateful thing, and it's protected by the First Amendment. Nazis and Klansmen can march in the streets, and even though their speech is bigoted and horrible and racist, the First Amendment protects it. Conduct, however, is not protected by the First Amendment, particularly conduct that is violent. Violent conduct that is threatening others, that is harassing others, that is injuring, or in this case, murdering others, is most assuredly not protected by the First Amendment. And so I would encourage you and the FBI to focus on conduct. Now, speech can guide you to those engaged in conduct. And I will say one question that I have and many have, and I recognize this is an ongoing investigation, so I don't want you to say anything that would compromise the investigation. But what can you tell us at this point about what evidence there exists of other individuals who may have had prior knowledge of this assassin's plans to murder Charlie Kirk on September 10th?
Generally speaking, we've interviewed numerous people, family members and friends, including the partner, to provide us with a detailed history of the knowledge he may have had, the suspect may have had prior to. We're still mapping out who, if anyone, was involved as an accomplice. As I said, the investigation is ongoing. We're also speaking to and going to interview numerous individuals online who were part of a chat group that was involved in this heinous assassination. And we're also going to work with our state and local partners out in Utah to find out what community organizations, if any, participated or had any foreknowledge of this information. But it's very much ongoing. I remind everybody that it's not even been a week since Charlie's tragic death.
Is it accurate? It's been widely reported that the assassin's roommate was a transgender man who was transitioning to be female, and it's also been reported that they may have been romantic partners. Is that accurate?
Yes, Senator.
And I assume the FBI is investigating. It has also been reported that there were transgender chat rooms that may have had some awareness of the plan to commit this murder. Is that accurate as well?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
It's been reported that there were chat rooms of transgender activists that indicated some degree of potentially of foreknowledge of this murder.
We're still developing that.
Do you have any information the bullet casings had on them both Antifa and LGBT wording on them? Do you have any indication of the source of those engravings and what inspired them?
As to the actual source, we're still developing that.
I want to encourage you in the course of this investigation, absolutely go after anyone who aided and abetted. But I want to more broadly encourage you, follow the money. The violence we are seeing is not purely organic. There is, I believe, significant money that is spreading dissension, that is spreading violence. Antifa. Do you believe Antifa is a terrorist organization?
I believe Antifa is associated with a lot of violence in this country. As to its designation, I'll leave that to the appropriate authorities.
So I would encourage the administration to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization, to go systematically after Antifa. They've committed acts of violence all over the country. And the shell casings have multiple references to slogans that Antifa has popularized. I believe there is considerable money funding it. I would note that I've introduced legislation called the Stop Funders Act. Stop Funders Act would add rioting to the list of predicate offenses under RICO. I believe the money should be tracked and prosecuted under RICO, and both the Antifa and Black Lives Matter riots of a couple of years ago and the pro-open border riots in Los Angeles and other cities of this past year, I believe there was significant money behind those riots. I'm not the only person who noticed at the anti-Semitic protests and violent protests on college campuses that many of the tents all matched. And so I would ask, would it aid your ability to prosecute these matters if Congress passed into law the Stop Funders Act and if rioting was added to the list of predicate offenses for RICO?
Yes.
Talk to me about the efforts of the FBI to go after the funders of the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses, the pro-open border protests in cities, and potential LGBT violence. Talk to me about the efforts to go after the money of those who are funding and promoting violence.
As I've always said, Senator, money doesn't lie, and we've been following the money. And so that's what we're doing, issuing lawful process to organizations involved with criminal activity, because the money's got to come from somewhere and it has to be funded somehow. So we have extensive investigations ongoing into numerous organizations that are related to violent criminal activity.
Cutting off the money will make America much safer, and that is the core job of the FBI. And I thank you for doing your job.
Senator Patel.
As a patriot, I see this, and I'm reminded once again of how different the treatment is when conservatives are targeted compared to when left-wing activists or liberal politicians face threats. When someone on the left, the system mobilizes instantly, the media runs wall-to-wall coverage, and the narrative is pushed that democracy itself is under attack. But when someone like Charlie Kirk, who challenges the establishment, who speaks to young Americans about freedom and responsibility, who calls out the failures of government, becomes the target of an assassination probe, suddenly it's crickets. Suddenly we can't get straight answers. That should make your blood boil. This isn't just about Charlie Kirk. This is about what it means to be a conservative voice in America today. If you dare to speak up, you're not only attacked by the media, you're targeted by radicals who want you silenced. And when those radicals cross the line into violence, the very institutions that are supposed to protect every American suddenly drag their feet. That double standard is what Cruz was putting his finger on in this hearing. Let's not forget the broader context. The FBI has had its credibility shredded over the past few years. From their handling of the Russia hoax to the way they slow-walk investigations into politically connected figures on the left, trust in the Bureau is at an all-time low. And now, with something this serious, they can't even give a straight answer about what's being done to hold people accountable? That's not incompetence, that's corruption or worse, complicity. What Ted Cruz did here matters. He is using his platform to put pressure on a system that wants to operate in secrecy. And Kash Patel, for all his knowledge and experience, is being forced into the spotlight where he cannot dodge questions forever. That's why hearings like this are critical. They're not just for show. They are opportunities to hold these bureaucracies to account. And when those in power start feeling that pressure, that's when the truth begins to leak out. As a conservative, as a patriot, I believe it is our duty not to look away. It is our duty to demand that the truth be revealed, that justice be applied equally, and that no political figure, whether conservative or liberal, should be subject to an assassination attempt without the full weight of a law coming down on the perpetrators. Anything less is proof that America has slipped into a two-tier system of justice where only certain voices are protected. We also have to think about what this means moving forward. If the FBI and DOJ are not willing to take threats against conservatives seriously, then it falls on us, the people, to demand better. That means calling our senators, supporting those who actually challenge the system, and refusing to accept vague answers when lives are on the line. Because if they can brush this aside, what will they brush aside next? I'll close with this. What happened to Charlie Kirk and the way the FBI is handling it is a warning. It is a warning to all of us that freedom of speech is under attack not just culturally, but physically. And unless we hold these agencies accountable, unless we demand transparency and action, we are on a dangerous path where only one side of the political spectrum is allowed to speak freely without fear of violence. This is why channels like American Stronghold exist. We are here to shine a light on these moments, to call out the hypocrisy, and to stand strong for American values. If you believe in free speech, if you believe in equal justice under the law, then stand with us. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends and family. The fight for truth is only just beginning, and together we can make sure it is not silenced. That's all for today's breakdown, but stay tuned because we're going to keep covering this story and others that the mainstream media wants buried. This is American Stronghold, and we will not back down.